Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna show you how to get around on Linux. So if you don't know what Linux is, it's a operating system. I talked about it in a previous video. I'm gonna link it up here so you can see it. I'm using here the Ubuntu operating system or the Ubuntu Linux operating system, and I'm gonna show you how to get around on Ubuntu, but most of it is Linux, so you can use it on every other Linux system as well. The first thing I'm gonna show you on Ubuntu is it looks pretty, or you can see similarities to Windows or Mac OS. You have our start button, you have a desktop, you have a home folder, or you have folders, you have a graphical overlay, which is pretty nice because you don't have to type everything into a console or terminal. You have a Firefox. Those are all pre-installed programs. What you have in Ubuntu, which is I think Ubuntu specific, or some other distributions have it as well, is this App Store, which you can use to just download and install programs. So it works just with every other App Store as well. You can, for example, download Spotify, just click on install and it's installed. Yeah, that's it. So that's what you can do on Ubuntu with your App Store. But if you don't want to use the App Store, you can also use the terminal window. So the terminal window for Windows users, it looks a little bit like the CMD or PowerShell. For macOS, there is also a terminal, so you should know what the terminal is. A terminal is just a command line interface where you can enter commands and they are executed by a program, and you can edit your system or basically everything inside of this command window. So just to clear this up, here on the top stands my username. So my username on this system is Philip. And we see we are at Ubuntu, which is the name of my virtual machine I'm using currently. So I am the user Philip at my machine Ubuntu. And then we see these double dots, and we see this symbol here, this wiggly symbol. And this symbol here stands for the directory I'm currently in. Or I hope so. So at least if we use it here, it stands for the directory we are currently in. So here we have the same text as here above. We have this wiggly symbol and we have the dollar sign. The dollar sign just tells us, okay, we have here, after that we can enter comments. So before that, that is the directory we are in. For everyone who's wondering what is a directory is basically a folder. So this folder here is called a directory. And what we can see here is if we make this command ls, which just lists everything inside of this directory, we can see some similarities, right? We see that all of these folders here are also listed here. So what we can learn from that is everything that is here marked blue, maybe it's marked in another color on other operating systems or in your Ubuntu, but in mine it's blue. So everything that is colored blue here is a folder. So we can open that folder. If we go on desktop, which is what we see here, but we don't see the home folder because that's just the home folder. We can't see it on the desktop. We can also move into our desktop here. So we can go here and type cd, which stands for change directory, I guess, I hope. And you can move to other folders / directories. So we can just enter desktop, and we are now at our desktop, and we see there's nothing inside here as well as here. What we can do now is we can make another directory. So we type this mkdir, which stands for make directory, or that's how so everything I'm telling you now, how I remember my comments I'm not sure if they are actually called like that, but it's how I remember them. So mkdir stands for make directory. So we say mkdir test, and now we see here this test, and we see it here. So you see this is the same as this here and this here. So yeah, now we can change into our test directory. We can go inside here as well, and we can do this touch, which just touches a file basically, and we can make a file.txt, and we see this file.txt here. So that's how we can create files, just by writing touch. So now if you want to edit this file, you can just enter vi and then the file name. Then you have to press I, and I stands for insert mode. So now you can type hello. And if you want to exit the file again, you press escape, and then you make the double dots, and you see down here we are now in comment mode, so we can use comments. We use the W for write, so we save our file or what we wrote, and we use the Q to quit. So double dot WQ, and we are done. Now if we have a look at our file here, then you can see there is hello. Okay, now what I did before, because you can't see all the old comments I posted here, that's just, you can use this clear, and it clears your comment window. So if I press clear, now you see nothing. But you can get all your comments back if you press the arrow key upwards, and you can go through all your comments you used before. So if you don't want to retype anything, you can just press arrow upwards or downwards to go back down, and just press enter and it starts again. So if we do, let's see, if we do the ls, so now, yeah, that's just how it works. Also important with comments is if you use the history. History just lists all the comments you used before, and I don't know what's the maximum history size, but you can edit it as well. It takes a little bit of effort, but it's possible. And if you want to search for a comment, just mark the comment, press your middle mouse button, and it copies it automatically down here, and you can press enter and it's done. So if we go down here, we see there is our file. So now I'm gonna show you how we get back out of this test. So we can either use we have to use cd to change our directory. That makes sense, right? But now if we want to go back to our home directory of our user, so go back to this symbol here, we can either use this symbol, so we can either just type the symbol, or it's enough to just put in cd, because if you type cd, you always get back to the home directory of your user. So there are two ways to get there, either by cd or by cd and this wiggly symbol. Okay, so now what I'm gonna show you is to every comment, or to most of the comments, I don't know if it's to every comment because I don't know every comment, there are some parameters and options. So what we can use here is man, which stands for man page, which is just a manual. So you can use man ls, and we get into the man page of the ls comment. So now you see ls list directory contents. That's what it does. That's how you write it. You put the ls, then options, and then a file directory, whatever you want to have. And here you can see arguments. So we can see this a says do not ignore entries starting with dot. That's interesting, because I never seen this dot, right? We haven't seen this before. So what we're gonna do is we just press Q to quit. Then we type ls minus a. And now we see more files than before. So if we just retype our ls, we saw our directories. Now we see directories and files. So the white ones are files, and they have this strange dot before. Why do they have the dot? So what the dot does is it masks a directory or file so that it isn't visible all the time. So with this ls comment, you can see every directory or file inside of the directory you are at or you specified, and the dot files or dot directories are masked, so you can't see them. But what's interesting now is we have this dot dot and dot. Those are special directories. So the dot dot, we can find out what it does. Or let's start with the dot, I guess, because it's above. So we start by dot, typing cd dot, and nothing happens. We stay in the same directory. So the dot directory is basically a representation of the current directory we are at. So yeah, the dot dot directory lets us move one directory upwards. So now we are in the /home directory. If we put in ls, we see, okay, here is our Philip directory, and if we go to Philip, we are back in our home directory. So with the double dots, or with the dot dot, you can move one layer in your directory system upwards. Okay, that's pretty good to know, I guess. Now I want to show you something that is just, if we type AL or LA, it doesn't matter which way around, it just lists our files and directories in a more generous order, I guess. It just says us more about our files and directories. So here in the front we see our rights. So the D stands for directory, which makes sense because this is a directory and it has this D before. Then we have the RWX, then a R-X, and then again a R-X. So if you don't know about the structure of the writing or the rights in Linux, it's basically we have wait, I'm just gonna clear this. So we have this RWX, which stands for read, write, and execute. Okay, so that's basically what this does. Okay, what we then have is we have this same thing 3 times. So we have this. We have RWX, we have RWX, and we have RWX, which sometimes is represented by this, or by this, or by, I don't know, this. So it doesn't matter. It's always the same. So there are always 3 different rights. So the first is the user. So the user is basically the owner of a file or directory, which if we just LL is the short for ls minus LA. So if we type this LL, we see, okay, this part here belongs to the owner of this directory, or we go to the desktop. That's the owner of the directory is set here. So it's Philip. Philip is the owner of the directory. Then we have the second is group. The group is where your user is in. So your user has a name, which is Philip, and it has a group. Yeah, I haven't specified a group for my user at the moment, but there is a group. And I think this part here represents the group. So I think I'm in the group Philip. Yeah. And then there is the third option, which is others. So every other user that isn't Philip or isn't in the group which is specified here, it has those rights. So user, which is the owner, it's a little bit strange, but user, group, and others. So we have this user, group, and others. And now I'm gonna just quickly chime in to tell you how you can change the rights on a file or directory. It works the same. So we got this user, which is the owner, we got the group, and we got others. And we have our rights, which is read, write, and execute. So now what we can do is we can type chmod, which is for change modification. I don't know, for so you change the rights on a file. So we make this change mod on file.txt. So, and we want to give the others the right to execute. So we say O plus X, and then we give the file. So we say file.txt, press enter. If we go LL, we see, okay, it is changed, and we have the execution. Same goes if you wanna take the right away to execute, you just press the dash and it's gone. If you wanna know how I did this with the hashtag, so it doesn't execute a comment when I press enter, it's just you have the comment, then you press alt and hashtag, and you execute basically the line but not executing the comment. And now we go back to the original video. Now you know what this part is. Okay, so now the last big thing is the root directory, which is the slash, and nothing is above the root directory. So we can look at this directory and there comes nothing above the root directory. It's the upmost directory. But now you're gonna ask, Philip, that's cool, but here is this dot dot. So this dot dot says I can move one upwards. Well, yes, usually you can, but not in the root directory. If I type cd dot dot here, doesn't work, I'm just staying there. So that's the only time where this doesn't go one up, but it just stays in the same directory. And also important is the sudo command, which you have to use extremely careful, because the sudo command lets you do everything. So it's basically running things as an admin on steroids. So the administrator on Windows is okay, it can do a lot of stuff, but the administrator on Linux, basically this sudo or root, can do everything, literally everything. It can break your whole system can go down by using sudo. So be really cautious. So you can do like sudo touch test.txt, and now you have to enter your password, your sudo password. I'm not gonna do it now, but it basically just creates a test file. So it doesn't do much. But what we can use is we can do sudo -i, then we change to our root user, and now we are our root user, which we can see by this root here. So now we can do everything on our system, literally everything. Yeah, basically that's the root user. I'm not gonna show you what we can do now, because I don't want you to do a lot of stuff with this root user for now, especially if you are new to Linux. You just stay inside of your normal user and you can get around your file systems now. You can install, at least on Ubuntu. On other systems you have, I think on Linux it's apt, which is a packet manager you can use to install packages. I don't know if it's RPM. No, RPM is not installed, but you can install RPM, which you can do like this. Yeah, apt list shows you all the packages that are installed, I guess. Yeah, apt is basically just your program to install, which if you don't want to use this App Store or Ubuntu Software Store, you can use it apt. Yeah. On other systems like SUSE, you have Super, or you have RPM to install. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. So yeah, I guess that's the basics of Linux. Okay, there's one last thing, but it's not really it's okay, interesting. So if you want to see where you're at, so if we go back to our home directory, you can just use pwd, which lists you your whole path to your location. So This pwd just shows you are at /home/Philip. So you are at this location. Yeah. Okay, so that's the last comment for today. I think I've talked a lot and I hope it was interesting. If not, I'm very sorry. I try to cut down next time a little bit, but I thought I'm gonna make it a little bit more extra so I can talk a little bit more and you get to know the comments more. Yeah, that's basically the reason behind it. Okay, so now I guess I wanted to promote another channel, but this week I don't have one. You need to write me channels because otherwise I don't see them too often. If I find one myself, I'm actually gonna promote it, but I haven't found one. So write me your channel you like in the comments and I'm gonna promote it. And yeah, that's it for today. And I hope if you liked it, you're gonna leave a comment, share with your friends, share them Linux. It's a cool operating system. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.